Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Omoyega Oluwatosin, and if you are new to my channel, please support me by clicking on the subscription button and also on the notification bell so that once I upload a new video, you will get notified. And on the channel today, I'll be showing you how to cut and sew the pattern for this beautiful trendy dress that you are seeing on the screen. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the tutorial. The first thing you want to have is a working pattern. This is the pattern I'll be using. If you don't have a working pattern, you can draft your own body's pattern from scratch. As you can see, my pattern has a bust dart and a shoulder dart. If yours do not have, please ignore it, it is optional. The next thing you want to do from here is to add extra pattern paper so that you'll be able to transform this body's pattern to a gown. Measure up from the bottom edge of the first pattern paper by 1 inch. You're going to rule a line to connect your 1 inch points together. After that, you place a new pattern paper directly on the 1 inch line. So watch what I'm doing. I just want to make sure that this pattern is long enough to accommodate the gown length. So I'm just going to place it like so and use a paper tape to tape the two paper together. And by the time you are done, this is what you should have. Next, you want to measure the gown length. So I'm going to take measurement from the waist to where I want my gown to stop. So I have from my waist, I measure 20 inches. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back. I'll mark 20 inches from the waistline. Then I'm going to connect my mark point together with a straight line. So this new line is going to be the hem line and the gown length. So the next you want to do, you want to measure what you have on the hip line and apply it on the hem line. So I'm just taking my hip measurement, quarter of my hip measurement. I'm going to mark it on the new hem line. I'll repeat the same thing for the back. Make sure you include 1 inch for zipper allowance for the back. And after you're done marking quarter of your hip measurement on the hem line, you're going to connect this point to the hip line. Now you have transformed your bodice block from being a bodice block to a gown block. The next thing you want to do from here is to alter the pattern to get a pencil gown. To alter the basic gown block to a pencil gown, you're going to come down from the hip line by 2 inches. You repeat the same thing for the back as well. Come down from the hip line on the side seam by 2 inches. So from the hem, you're going to come in from the side seam by 1 inches. Now you're going to connect the 2 inches on the side seam and to the tapering amount, that is the 1 inch on the hem. You can see what we have now. Our pattern has been altered from a basic skirt gown block to a pencil gown. Next, you want to mark where your wet pocket will be. So our wet pocket is going to be 3 inches from the waistline, and the width of the wet pocket is going to be 5 inches. So that's what you see me do. I'm just marking where I'll be stitching my wet pocket on, and the width is going to be 5 inches. That's all for the wet pocket position. You can either put your wet pocket straight, slant, just anyhow you want the design to be at the front. That's what you should do. So the next thing you see me doing is adding my seam allowance. I went ahead to add 1 inch seam allowance at the side seam. I retraced my dart. I also went ahead to add 0.5 inch seam allowance on the neckline and also on the armhole. And once I was done, this is what we have. At the hem line, you're going to come down 1.5 inches So that is going to be the at the folded amount at the we call it the allowance. We use this allowance to finish the down part of the dress. So the next thing you want to fold on the original line. That means the first line. So that's how the back will be. This is how the front will be. You're going to fold on the original line, and then after you are satisfied with your fold, you're going to come in with your tracing wheel and trace the original side seam line and the sewing allowance line. This will give you the direction of where your folding allowance will go. It's not always straight or equal. It's always like in the opposite direction, and this is what you should have at the end of the day. This is what your front pattern should look like. Going with your scissors and cut out the pattern. And after you're done cutting out your pattern, this is what it should look like, your front bodice pattern. I maintain a neck width of 3 by 3 inches. The next thing you want to do for the back is to transfer the shoulder dart to the armhole, and this is the way I eliminate the shoulder dart. We have different methods, but this is one of the methods that I use. After you're done transferring the dart to the armhole, you're going to place a fresh pattern paper underneath that opening. You close it up with a paper tape and you blend the armhole. You blend the armhole and the shoulder line. So I'm going to use my marker pen to reblend the armhole, as simple as ABC. You use a ruler to blend the shoulder line because it's always slant. Now we are done for the back pattern. The next thing you want to go ahead and add your 1 inch seam allowance at the side seam, and don't forget to add your allowance as well, which is 1.5 inches. With that be done, let's work on the sleeve that this dress had. So this is the fabric I'll be using. I'm working with a crepe fabric. Fold your fabric in such a way that the wrong side of the fabric is facing you. The width of the fold is going to be half of your round armhole. So my round armhole is 18 inches, half of it is going to be 9 inches. Now the next thing you want to do, you want to mark the full length of your sleeve. Remember that the sleeve has a place, so I'm going to measure from my shoulder point to my waist. I have 25 inches. You are going to add 1 inch to the 25 inches, so making it 26 inches. Half an inch is going to the round armhole and the remaining half an inch is going to the waist. Now we have our M line for the sleeve. Now after you go the M line, the next line you want to draw is the bicep line, and to get the bicep line you need your cap height. For standard we use 5 inches, but I'm going to mark 5.5. The remaining half an inch is for sewing allowance. So the line you will get from this cap height is known as the bicep line. After you get the bicep line, come down 4 inches to get the upper arm line. So I'm marking 4 inches from the bicep line to mark the upper arm line. Now the next thing you want to do, you want to mark half of the round armhole slantly like so. So I'm just marking half of my round armhole on the bicep line like this. So after you get that mark point, you're going to measure what you have from the center of the sleeve to that mark point and mark half of it midway your pattern like so. Midway the cap height like so. What you want to do, you want to drag the curve that will go around the armhole. Now you're going to mark midway the cap height as well. So after marking midways and making sure that the 2 points are meeting, the next thing I'm just trying to make sure that half of my what I have on the bicep line is meeting half of my cap height. Now the next thing you want to do, you want to draw the curve. So watch the way I am going to construct mine. So the first thing you want to connect the midpoint to the bicep point like this. So this is what you should have. So the part that is going into the center front of the sleeve, you are going to curve it. Make sure you curve it. I'm using the curve part of my ruler. Now let's construct the front and back armhole curve. Now you're going to measure what you have on the bicep point to the midpoint and divide it by 2. Now you're going to come down from that midpoint by 2/8 of an inch, that is half and quarter of an inch, and draw your curve to meet the curve that is going towards the center of the sleeve. Now from this slant point again, you're going to go out by 2/8 of an inch to draw another curve. This curve is going into the back of the sleeve. So now we are done constructing the curve that is going into our armhole. Next, you want to mark half of your upper arm on the upper arm line, that is that 4 inches from the bicep line. You will now connect the upper arm to the biceps line like this. So after that, let's work on the wrist of the sleeve. Now for the wrist, this is how you are going to do it. You are going to put one finger inside like so, like the way I am doing, like you saw me doing. Then you're going to take the round measurement. What I have here is 8 inches. Now I'm going to mark half of 8 inches on the wrist line or the M line of the sleeve. Then I'm going to connect this point to the upper arm line. So that's that for the sleeve, and once you are done, you're going to cut it out. Go ahead to add your seam allowance. I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance to this pattern. So once you are done cutting the sleeve, cut through the front curve line so you can be able to differentiate between the front part of the sleeve and the back part of the sleeve. Also notch the midpoint of the sleeve, and that is all. Now let's work on the flare part. I'm going to measure from the waist to where I want my flare to be. Now I have 6 inches. Now let's use the leftover fabric to cut out the flare part of the sleeve. Now you're going to fold your fabric in such a way that the width of the fold is going to be half of your wrist measurement plus 3 inches. That's what I have here. That's the width of my fold. Now the next thing you want to do, you want to mark the length of your flare. Remember, ours is 6 inches. I'm going to add 1 inch to it to make it 7 inch. The 1 inch is for the seam allowance. Now I am going to mark half of my wrist measurement on the wrist line, and at the end I'm going to mark half of my wrist measurement. From that mark point, I'm going to come out 2 inches. This is going to account for the flare that the sleeve has. I'm going to connect the flare part to the wrist measurement. The next thing you want to do, you want to balance it. Remember, we have 7 inches on the slanted part. You're going to mark 7 inches. You can see that I did not get to the hem of the sleeve. You're going to curve it in like so. The next thing you want to do, you want to mark your seam allowance, cut out the flare. You're going to cut out two, one for the left hand side of the sleeve and the other side. The second one is going to be for the right hand side of the sleeve. And that is that for our sleeve pattern, and this is what your sleeve is going to look like by the time you are done cutting it. The next thing we want to work on is the wedge that is going to be at the center front of the dress. Now the width of my wedge is going to be 5 inches and the length is going to be 3.5. You can work with any width of your choice and length, but that's what I want. Now I'm going to mark a straight line, and from this straight line I'm going to mark 6 inches. Make sure you have a straight line to work with, and as you can see, my fabric is on fold. The end part of my fabric is on fold. Now I'm going to mark 6 inches. So 6 inches, that is the width is 5 inches. I added 1 inches to it to make it 6 for sewing allowance. Now from the hem, I'm going to come in 1 inches and slant it to the upper part of the waist. I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to come out 1 inch for the other side because I want my wear to have a slanting edge. Then you're going to cut this out. You're going to cut two, one for the right hand side and one for the left hand side of the dress. I'm just making sure that what I have there is 6 inches, and that's all for the waist. You're going to cut out two. The next thing we are going to work on is the collar that goes around the neckline of this dress. Now I'm bringing back my pattern, so I'm going to measure my neck line. Don't include the sewing allowance, the seam allowance, just your original neckline. For the back, I'm going to include the zipper allowance. So I'm just going in to measure my neckline from the zipper allowance like this up to the original neck point, not the seam allowance. So whatsoever I have, I'm going to record the reading. I will repeat the same thing on the front pattern of this dress. After I've gotten the bedding, I will record it as well. Now the next thing you want to do from here, you want to get a fresh pattern paper and rule a straight line. To get a straight line, I will advise you to use a set square or a multi-purpose ruler. Make sure you know how to use a set square or just try to get a straight line. So this is my straight line and this is going to be my neckline. So the next thing I want to mark is the back measurement. Now I'm marking the back measurement. Now I'm indicating the zipper allowance. So from the back measurement point, you're going to mark the front measurement. So that's it. Next, you want to mark the length of your collar. So what we have here is 2.5 inches. You can also work with 2 inches. So that's the length of the collar. Now I'm just going to make sure that the measurement that we have on the neckline is the same thing we have on the top edge of the collar. I'm just going to mark my back measurement first. I'm going to indicate the front measurement as well, neckline measurement as well. Then you're going to connect this with a straight line. So this point is the shoulder point, the back, and that's the front. Next, you want to contour the neckline in such a way that when you sew it to the sleeve, it won't be gaping. So come in from the front neckline by 2 inches and extend a line to the top line. Now you're going to remove a dart of 7/8 of an inch. That is 3/8 on both sides. That is half and a quarter of an inch. So now you're going, once you have your dart amount marked, you're going to connect it to create a dart. After creating your dart, you're going to close this dart and retrace the neckline. Retrace your collar, not the neckline. You retrace your collar. Use a paper tape to tape this down. And after removing a dart, your collar will stay nice and neat on your neck. So that's all. And you're going to cut the center front of this collar unfold. You're going to cut the center front of the collar unfold. I made a mistake putting the folding mark on the back. The folding mark should be on the front, and you're going to cut two pieces. And that's that for the collar of this dress. Please take note, when I was cutting out the collar, I made sure that the center front of the collar is unfold, and remember to add half an inch seam allowance. When you get to the center back, don't add any seam allowance because we have a zipper allowance there already. I'm cutting out two pieces. You're going to extend this collar to make it stable, to give you some kind of stability around your neckline. We are working on the front part of the dress. I'll sew the shoulder and bust that. I gave it a nice space. I extend our wet pocket. I'm just going to put a fancy wet pocket. We just stitch it on it. We are not going to do all the professional stuff, just use stitching on it. So from the waistline, you're going to come down 3 inches, and you're going to place the pocket, the wet on it like so. Make sure you can actually place your wet pocket straight, slant, or anyhow you want the wet pocket to look. Then you're going to take this to your sewing machine and stitch it down. And when I'm done stitching it, I'll break it down. I'll bring it back for you guys to see. I am back, and this is what the pattern is looking like at this moment. I went ahead to stitch the back dart and the zipper allowance, but I gave it a nice press and I've joined the side seam, and this is what your pattern should look like at this point. The next thing you want to do, you want to add the sleeve to this pattern, and this is our sleeve. I've gone ahead to sew the sleeve offline, and this is what the sleeve is looking like. You're going to merge the sleeve. Please make sure that the front and back side of the sleeve is facing the front and back side of this body. Make sure you place it where you pin the shoulder point to shoulder point, and the underarm to underarm of the sleeve. And once you're done, you're going to take this to the sewing machine and stitch the sleeve on the body. And once I am done, I'll bring you it back for you guys to see what it look like. And this is what we have after we are done stitching the sleeve to the dress. The next thing we want to do is to fix the collar. So I gave the collar a nice press. I add my hairstay to give it some kind of stability, and you can see how nice and flat the collar is looking like. So I'm going to indicate the middle, the center front of the bodies, making sure that the center of the collar is pinned to the center of the neckline. So this is it. So you pin the center of the collar to the center of the neckline. You pin it like the way you see me doing, and when you pin round, so once you are done, you can see how aligned it is because the measurement is correct. So you're going to take it to the sewing machine and give it a nice stitch. And once that was done, this is what the collar is looking like on the dress. The next thing you want to do from here is to install the zipper. This is the collar. You can see how nice it look. So now let's install the zipper. And before you install the zipper, make sure that you test your zipper to be sure that the zipper do not have any fault, because it is going to be painful that when you finally install the zipper and you start seeing that the zipper is not zipping properly. So I'm going to turn this to the wrong back side of my bodice. You can see that I've ironed the zipper allowance, so I have a grease line to work with. I'll take this to the sewing machine and stitch the zipper on the dress. And once I was done, this is what we have. I gave the dress a nice press. You can see how neat the dress is looking at the back. You can see how nice and neat the zipper is. And I've gone ahead to hem the dress, and this is what the front part of the dress is looking like. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give this video a thumb up, like and share my video, and don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Have a nice day and bye.